Welcome to Parent Coaches Unleashed with Carrie and Jessica, where no topics are taboo or off limits. Join us as we let loose and discuss the real, raw feelings about parenting.
In each episode, we will bring you heartfelt discussions, real-life stories, and special guests that will both entertain you and encourage community so no one feels alone in their parenting journey.
Thanks so much for listening. Now let's start the show.
Hi, everybody. We have a first today at Parent Coaches Unleashed. We have our first dad on our podcast, and I'm going to ask Carrie to introduce him.
Hi, we're so excited. So today we have Scott's single dad to one daughter. She is 15, but going on 35.
And killing me.
He considers himself a great girl dad and feels that raising her has made him a better man. So we welcome Scott and thank him for reaching out to us, wanting to represent the single dads. So
somebody has to do it.
Thank you for volunteering, Scott. We're so happy to have you here today.
Sure, it is my pleasure.
So would you mind sharing your story with us, how you came to be a single dad?
Yeah, sure. So long story short, I was married for 10 years and my wife decided she didn't want to be my wife anymore. So it kind of was sprung on me and I didn't really know what to expect. My daughter was 4.5, going on 5. And it was a really tough time. It was a tough transition, tough getting used to being the only one to make decisions for her.
I'm just going to stop you there and ask, was it a co-parenting situation? Did you have full custody or?
No, we co-parent. We've always had a 50-50 situation. As the years have gone on, we've kind of given her the option where she wants to stay, where she's most happy, what works best for her. For instance, now she's in high school. Her mom's house was closer to school, so she would stay at her mom's more to be able to sleep a little later in the morning. And I don't really care about that. As long as she's happy and she's getting to school, and I would get her more on the weekends and I would pick her up from her practices and spend more time at night with her going to dinner and then dropping her off at her mom's so she could get a little more sleep in the morning. Making it best for her, which has always been the goal.
I admire you for that.
Yeah.
That
Thank
I
you.
imagine is not easy.
It hasn't been. It has not been.
But you're here to talk about it, and she's 15.
I'm here to help. Yeah, she's 15.
And I'm sure we have a lot of parents listening that are in similar situations. So can you remember back, like, how did the conversation go about mom and dad are getting divorced and we're gonna have 2 houses or 2 living situations?
Oddly enough, it wasn't really a long conversation. We got to the point where she moved out and Addie went with her at the beginning. And as we went along, we just were honest with her, which we've always been. We've never hidden anything from her. We've always told her the truth. And I think in the long run, that worked best for her. So when she would ask, how come you and mommy don't live together anymore? We just were completely honest with her. It's not working out. And we would rather you live in 2 homes and be happy than 1 home and be unhappy. Mm-hmm. And she kind of worked her way into the role of going back and forth. And she had a lot of, I don't want to say, she didn't have a lot of anxiety about it. She just went with the flow. And I think being honest with her and letting her know that she would be happy in both places really worked well for us. And it kept her calm.
Yeah.
There's something I'm really curious about. And I feel like I don't like the way it sounds when I'm with kids of a divorced home where you have the mom's house and you have the dad's house. Where's the kid's house? Like, does your daughter have a place where she considers home?
Both places. When we sat down with her eventually and told her she'd be in both places, we told her it would be her home. It would be where she was most comfortable. At the beginning, I gave up a lot of time with her because she was more comfortable being with her mom. And I understand that. It's a lot more, I feel it's probably a lot easier for moms to deal with kids than dads who don't have experience dealing with kids. And as we went along, she got more comfortable coming to me. And eventually it worked itself out for the best for her. And that's when I say, we would always give her the option. Do you feel better going to mommy's or do you want to come to my house? And she would choose, and I would eat a lot of pride, and I would spend a lot of nights wondering if she didn't want to be with me, and eventually it's all worked itself out.
And what was
Did
your support system? Did
Honest,
you have family?
yeah,
Did you have other friends that were going through a divorce?
yeah, no, I don't come from divorce. My parents were married 33 years. My All my grandparents were always married. So I didn't really have any I didn't have any exposure to divorce. So I didn't really know where we were going. I didn't know how it was going to work out. I didn't know if she was going to not want to come see me or not go see her mom. But honestly, my support system was Addie. And Addie is her name, by the way.
Mhm.
So Addie was my support system. Whenever Addie would come over, she would always say, "Hey, Dad, I always want to come to your house. I always want to go to mommy's house." And knowing that she was okay, getting used to it. And she was the one who would always say to me, "Dad, I want to talk to you every night, and I'll FaceTime you and kiss you goodbye and kiss you goodnight." And she was really my support system. And I think being honest with her and letting her know where she stood with us made her more comfortable speaking about it. I
Mhm.
don't know if that makes sense or not, but
it does.
kind of empowering her kind of made me sleep better at night, knowing that when she was going to sleep at night, she was thinking of me. And that
Right.
kind of put a smile on my face. So
And that helped get you through.
yeah, it really did. No, just knowing that she was going to come through okay. And she went through a lot. Her mom met somebody and got remarried pretty quickly, and that was tough on her, but she always would come to me, and she's resilient. They're all resilient, and she was really my comfort zone, and I'll always be grateful to her for being my comfort. So
Yeah.
uh,
So talk us through, you find yourself now, you're a single dad with a 5-year-old. I imagine she was either entering kindergarten or in pre-K, and you've become responsible for all the things maybe your wife had done at that time. Now you're doing them.
yeah,
Tell us what that adjustment was like for you.
complete and utter adjustment, but on the run. And actually, Addie would make her own lunch in the morning. It wasn't a very good lunch. She would pop tarts and cupcakes and stuff, and I would take it out before she would leave and swap out some apple chips or whatever that would entail. But the adjustment for me was really a lifestyle adjustment. So I used to go to work a little earlier in the morning when my wife would take her to school, and I had to adjust to that. But I think on the run, I figured it out. I would always have dinner for us. We never went out. I always cooked for us because that's the way we did it at home. And
Mhm.
that helped her understand that things were changing, but they really weren't changing all that much. And I would always make time to be there. Any school events, I didn't miss any school events. I didn't miss any assemblies or plays or chorus, or because it was important for her to see me there all the time. And with our mom, we would both be there for her. So she knew that we were there for her, and that kind of helped get through, make her calm. And that was
Right.
really what we needed.
It sounds like you had a united front in making her the priority for both of you.
Always, always. We may not, we didn't get divorced on bad terms. It just didn't work out. And so we made a promise to each other. And actually, Carrie, I don't know if you've ever seen me with Bonnie, my
Yep,
ex-wife,
I did.
but we don't. Some people still think we're married when we travel together for Addie's softball. So Addie's a travel softball player. She has
Okay.
tournaments all over the state. And the three of us travel together, and we stay in hotel rooms together, and we go to dinner together because it's good for Addie, and it gives Addie a stable
Sure.
There's no and the people some when we first joined the team that Addie's on now, the people thought we were still married. Like that's how there's no reason to show what angst we have with each other. It never did any good.
I think that's unique, right? I
It's
think
incredible. It's
that
incredible. And Carrie, yes, unique. I mean, that's not the norm for what you hear of.
It is certainly not the norm, Jess. I have run across many people who they can't even stand to be at the same field where the father sits in the outfield and the mother sits in the bleachers, or the mother doesn't show up because the father's there. And it's so foreign to me that people can't put that aside. And that's the most important thing. Everything has to be done for the children. And
Right.
you have to swallow a lot of pride and put your bravado away, and you have to be a parent to the children no matter what. Curse them when you're not with the children and show them that you can get along with people.
yeah.
That's always been our kind of our thing.
Where do you think that comes from? Because if every adult going through what you went through just had that kept that in mind, that it's all about the children first. Is that just the type of person you are? Did that, like, because I'm just amazed that here is your spouse asking you for a divorce and you have the wherewithal to say, I'll deal with you separately than my child. Where does that come from, do you think?
I'm not really sure. I pride myself on being humble, and I pride myself on being able to get along with almost anybody. And when she told me she wanted a divorce, and I went to see somebody once. I went for one session and I talked to somebody for about an hour, and I went through everything with them. And in the end, she told me, just because she doesn't want to be with you doesn't mean she doesn't love you as a person, doesn't mean she doesn't like you. You're just not meant for each other. So you have at the time, she was 6, a 6-year old, a beautiful daughter. And it's most important that you always put her first. And hearing those words from somebody else,
Right.
and like you said, no experience with divorce. I don't, I mean, friends of mine, their parents were divorced and they still can't stand to be in the same room with each other. And it's 40 years. And Carrie knows who I'm talking about. Right. And
Yep.
they don't, when they're in the same room with each other, the mom sits at the table and the father sits on the other side, and a glance here or there, but it doesn't do you any good. The anger does good, the fighting does good. So why am I going to be unhappy? And my life is infinitely better unmarried than it is married. And that is a big part of why I'm always happy and always like this, because it's never going to do me any good to be angry with her. A lot of things happen. Everybody's been
Of
through
course.
stuff.
Yep.
You just kind of, you have to do it for, it's always for Addie.
Yeah.
So if you've always put Addie first, how has that affected your life as
Yeah,
now a single person?
yeah. I'm a middle-aged guy. I'm single. I have a little gray hair. I still have all my own teeth, and it's all my hair. It's right. It's all mine. But I'm alone. I'm alone a lot. I sacrificed the love for Addie because Addie was more important than that love. I sacrificed going on trips. I sacrificed a lot. I sacrificed everything that has come through my life that hasn't been best for Addie has been pushed to the side because she deserves that from me.
Scott, I just want to
Yes.
say that married parents don't always do
Yeah.
that for their kids. So,
Yes,
So
when I tell
should
you,
we
I
turn
mean,
this in? Should we turn this into a dating show? Because I don't know. Seems like Scott's a pretty good catch.
Scott is a good catch, but he's still waiting on Addie to 15 going on 35 doesn't mean she's 35.
do you
Yeah,
not date because of Addie?
I have dated, and I gave up what would be maybe my second wife for Addie because they didn't get along, and I would never put anybody in front of her. She deserves me to be there for her. And if it doesn't work, it's not worth it for me to do that for her, to her. I dated somebody for about 3 years, and it took me a long time to introduce Addie to her because I needed to make sure she would be around. And at first they got along, and then for whatever reason they didn't. And I had to make a choice. I didn't really have to make a choice. There's no choice. It's Addie first and somebody second. But now that she's a little older, she's actually encouraged me to go on dates with her approval, though. The woman has, yeah, of course, the woman has to be nice, has to have had children, has to understand what it is to be a parent. Because people who date people that have never been married or don't have kids, they just don't understand the sacrifice, and they don't understand what it takes. And
I
you
agree with
can't,
you.
yeah, you can't ever let somebody else come between you and your children. I'm going to need her when I'm old to take care of me. That was always the beginning, was when I'm in the home and I can't reach behind me, somebody's going to have to help me. And I don't think it's Addie. I think it's going to be Greg. I don't think it's going to be Addie. Greg and Denise are going to have to help me.
Yeah,
But
I think it's Denise.
yeah, no, I don't think so,
Wait,
Carrie.
does
I don't
Denise
think
know
it's
she's signing up for
No,
this
you're
Yeah.
job?
totally right. No, you're absolutely right.
Denise.
No, it's Amanda.
Denise knows she's getting both of us. Jessica, she's just not going to put up with us. And so we'll see what happens. But to answer your question, nothing has been more important than Addie. And I've always been willing to sacrifice what I've had to keep her happy because she deserves it. She didn't ask for any of this. So
Sure.
Has Addie
she's in,
ever tried to set you up on a date with a friend,
no,
parent, or
Addie
someone she
hasn't.
knows?
No, Addie hasn't. Other parents have. I've had some pimps working for me. I know a friend. I have a friend. This, that, and the other.
I'm sitting here with women going through my mind.
You have my number, of course, off of this.
Yeah.
I'd be more than happy to entertain any offers. I am a great catch, but I am a single dad, and I do have responsibility to a 15-year-old girl. Going to be 16 next month. The responsibilities just keep on growing.
So tell us now. So we spoke a little bit about her younger years. What was the most challenging time for you in her growth so far? Which
Do
stage
you
did
want
you
me to be
find the most
complete? Do
difficult?
you want me to be completely honest?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
The day that my life turned was walking in on her. She was laying on her bed and she was looking for hair in a place where I really shouldn't be seeing this. And that really made me understand that I was starting to parent a young woman.
Mhm.
I was starting to get into that stage with her where everything that I did needed to be um up and above. I had to watch my step, I had to watch my words, I had to watch my actions because now she's more aware of her surroundings. And as she's gotten older and boys have now entered
Oof.
her life, yeah, oof, oof. That really made me realize that I'm in for a bumpy ride, and I'm going to love every minute of it. I want her to experience everything in life that makes her happy. And again, I'll put my dad pride aside when I meet the first boyfriend and he does something that he's not supposed to do, as men are prone to do, 16 or 56. And then I'll be that dad. And then I'll be the dad to talk her off the ledge. And then I'll be the dad to buy her a car to make her happy. I'm that dad. I want her to be happy. I never realized when she was 5. I used to say, I wish she would say 3 all the time. Right. And then I would say, now I can't wait till she gets older so I can spend time with her and we can have conversations. And now I wish she was 3 again. I wish she was, not talking and laying on my lap. And
Yeah. So looking at the teenage years and dating is coming, do you and your ex,
It sounds like dating is
yeah,
here.
dating's here.
dating's here.
Do
He's a
you
pitcher.
and your ex have the same house rules
Oh,
for
I was going to ask the same thing, Carrie.
House rules.
boys or friends or sleepover, all that type of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
House rules are house rules. The door to the bedroom always stays open. There's no closed door policy in the house. But as far as chores, laundry and cleaning up after yourself and getting yourself up and ready for school in the morning, and when you get home in the afternoon, making sure your schoolwork is done, there's universal rules for her.
Okay.
And dad's house is a little more lax than mom's house, but if you don't like dad's house, you're always welcome to go to mommy's. And if you don't like mommy's, you're always welcome to come to daddy's. But there will be rules. It's not chaos yet. It's close, but not yet. It's chaotic. It's chaotic. Because
Yeah.
you know what it is? It's not really Addie, it's Addie's circle of friends. Because when Addie's at my house and then the friends come to her, come see her there, and then it's they're out by the pool or they're up on the rooftop shooting pool, and I'm worried and not showing that I'm worried, because
Mm.
if you put 5 15-year-old girls together, something's going down. They're not doing nails and watching TikTok. There's something going on, and the louder the giggles, the more I know something is going on. I'm learning this too.
Do you and your ex-wife, do you live in close proximity to each other?
So I just moved to Coral Springs. She lived in Coral Springs. I moved to Coral Springs to be closer to Addie. She goes to school in Coral Springs. She plays ball in Coral Springs. All of
Okay.
her friends are in Coral Springs. So we're about 2 miles from each
Oh,
other.
sure. Okay.
So yeah, so it's easy for Addie to get back and forth. She started driving now.
Hmm.
She's not driving by herself, but she likes the fact that we're both in the same city. It makes it easier for her. And that was the plan, to make it easier for her. It made my drive to work longer, makes my commute home longer, but it makes it better for her. So I do it. Make her happy, dad. So I'm trying. I'm trying.
It seems like you're more than trying. It sounds like you're
Uh,
you're doing it.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
doing I'm doing my best. And we've been divorced now long enough to where we're past any results from that. It's now a co-parenting thing.
Yeah.
She will do her motherly duties. I'll do my fatherly duties. We just don't do them in the same house. But we do not do anything that we don't agree upon. We talk about it as a family. Even though we're not quote unquote a family, we're still a family. My ex-wife will always be the mother of my child. She will always get respect from me. She will always be respected by Addie. We don't put up with Addie talking back. We don't allow her that freedom. She used to show respect to her mom in front of other people, most importantly, but in private too, because she needs to understand that although we're not together, we're together. And that's what I think a lot of the people that I see that are divorced, they're not together in this journey. And when they let that get in between them, and it causes a lot of other problems. It causes a lot of friction. Talking bad about the other one has never happened. We
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
not we do not do it. I have a lot of things to say, but I say them on the inside. I use my inside voice, and I'm sure my ex-wife can't find a bad thing to say you know, about me, but I would leave that up to her to say.
Has there ever been a time yet where she's manipulated because she does have two different households? And so, yes, you're shaking your head. There has been a time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
One thing she's not is stupid. She understands the system. She understands how to work the system. The thing she's now getting is the system is ahead of her. We're smarter than she is.
Okay.
We understand what she's doing, and we let her know that we understand what she's doing. And that will usually nip anything in the bud that she's working on, because she doesn't need to. We want her to understand she doesn't need to do that. Just tell us what you want. Just
Right.
tell us what you need. Tell us what you want. Tell us what makes you happy. Tell us what doesn't make you happy, so we can change to help you be happy. That's a very important part of this, is that we don't let anything happen without the other parent knowing. When
Okay.
I'm doing something with Addie, or we're going somewhere, or something's happening, I'll tell her on the down low, So she's aware of what's going on with Addie, and vice versa. If she hears something or sees something or is aware of something that I should know that Addie hasn't told me, we communicate with each other better than ever when we were married.
Mm.
We
Yeah.
communicate now more than we were married because we're not together. We're never in the same place, so we need to communicate better.
Right. And
Right.
is there one thing that you guys did not agree on, or like you had major conflict over in terms of parenting? And if so, how did you work
No,
through that? No?
I would always, like I said earlier, I'm of the belief that mothers are better parents than fathers because they have this instinct on what's best for the kids. You can't have ice cream for breakfast. Dad, can I have ice cream for breakfast? Yeah, if you're hungry, eat ice cream. That's a universal thought, I think, that moms are better parents than dads, right? But it's not always that way. It's not easy to get through to a 15-year-old, but we do. I don't know how we do it, but we're doing it.
Do you think that being forced into the role of a single dad has made you a better dad?
Yes, absolutely. It's made me a better man. It has made me show Addie how she should be treated by a
Right.
man. How
So important.
the most important. I've told her 1,000 times. If you're with a boy, if he's not your boyfriend, if he's just your friend, and he doesn't open that door for you, he doesn't open the car door, he doesn't include you, he doesn't talk to you, then he doesn't deserve to be near you, with you, your friend. I took her on her first date as if I was the boy to show her. So when the boyfriend now is taking her to Chipotle, this is he brought her and her friend Chipotle, and I offered him money. He goes, no, I got it. I'm trying to be her friend. So I bought her Chipotle. I offered him the money. He didn't want it. I want her to understand that's very important, but that's not necessary. She doesn't need a man to make her life better. She makes her life better and she allows a man to be in her life. And I've learned that because it's something I watched from my parents. I watched my dad treat my mom like a queen. And I try to impart this on Addie that she doesn't need a boy to make her happy. She doesn't need a man to make her happy. She makes her happy and she lets someone in on her happiness.
I love that. That's something I tell my own kids is you can't be responsible for somebody else's happiness. Nobody is responsible for your happiness except you. I mean, you generate your own happiness. And if you need someone else to make you happy, then something's wrong.
Yeah.
And I think it's harder. The world is in general is harder for women because of the things that are put in front of them. Whatever it is, equal pay, equal jobs, their voices being heard, however you want to do it. So the only way for me to raise my daughter properly is to make her understand that her voice is the most important in her life. And that's probably the greatest thing I've done for her. I'm doing for her. I'm trying for her. The only problem is now she doesn't listen to my voice. So she's like, Dad, I don't need you to make me happy. I go, all right, you got any money for dinner? You got any money for sushi? Oh, no. Dad, I love you. All right, let's go get some sushi. But I, I, f- I
What's
feel
important is that she hears your voice when she's not with you.
or yes, what hears it and listens. There's two parts to that,
Well,
Yep.
right? Hearing me and actually listening to me. So
Yes.
I'm trying hard to get both of those through to her. And 15 going on 35, it's like shields. I say things and sometimes they bounce off and sometimes they stick.
yeah, it's being a parent, whether you're a single parent or a parent, with a partner, it's just always a work in progress.
And
Right?
it's hard.
Always
Always a work in
the
It's
hardest.
so hard.
Yeah.
And the thing that I think turned out best for Addie was that we didn't live together unhappy.
Mm, yeah.
She's only known happy places. And I think a lot of people overlook that. They're staying in marriages and unhappy for their children, right? But being in an unhappy marriage is not good for anybody.
Mhm.
And I would rather be single and happy all the way to the end. And I want her to know that too. And that's something that cannot ever be overstated is happiness as a single dad. And I've shown her that I've wanted, I need, but not that she needs to know. But I mean, I still have some blood pumping through me. I need things, but I never
What things
I
do we want to be
I
specific about
are,
these needs?
are we going after hours now, or are
I
we
don't know.
staying daytime
I think
hours?
we're
We're gonna change our rating here.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
listen,
we're not ready to switch over from clean to
okay, not
explicit.
ready for
So,
prime time. I got it. Not ready
yeah,
for prime time. I
Not ready
got
for
it.
cable.
maybe in
I
part
got it.
two. Yeah,
Okay,
parent coaches
maybe in part
go
two.
wild instead of unleashed. But yeah,
Parent coach has gone wild, I think, is
Oh.
really what we're all looking for. The
Parent-
parent coaches to go
oh
wild.
my god, oh my god.
So
Uh,
Scott, what would you say to somebody going through this now, starting the process of going through a divorce? What would be your advice that you would hand out to a man approaching your situation of having to be a single dad?
let everything that you feel angry wise, let everything you feel betrayed. If you feel betrayed, let it all, you have to let it go. You have to always put any anger, you have to separate it from when you're with your children. Your one child, your three children, your two children. You have to realize that happiness comes from within, right? And if your wife, you're getting divorced and you're not going to be together anymore, you have to be able to separate yourself and make yourself happy. And I think that a lot of people hold anger too long. They hold
Mm.
grudges too long. They don't quite understand how great life is on the other side. It always looks dark. It always looks nothing's ever going to get better. And then you realize that the happier you feel and that the more things you do to make yourself happy, it will be better for all the people in your life. Not just your children, but for you. You only get one chance at life, and why live it unhappy you know if it's only going to cause problems for you? You get one
Right.
chance at life. You got to make yourself happy. And divorce is hard. I know you two. I don't think either one of you have been divorced, and I don't recommend it. But if you're if you're going through it, always remember it's just not that bad. It's just another bump in the road. And once you become able to deal with it and make yourself happy, you'll make everybody else happy and your life will be infinitely better, which has happened to me. So that's the best advice I could give somebody.
I think that's great advice.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Oh,
We have
of
enjoyed
course.
having you on. I'm so
Of
glad
course.
and so thankful that you reached out. And
I did. I reached out because I feel it's important for dads to understand that they can do it. It doesn't seem possible at the beginning, but you learn how to do it, and you learn how to make lunch and leave work early and be there for every single event. Because when my daughter is 18 and 21 and 25, she'll always know her dad was there. And that's probably the greatest gift I'll ever get, is when she knows that her dad was always there for her.
yeah,
So,
I
you
literally
know,
just got the chills
yeah,
from that.
oh,
I
you're
I
mean,
love
sweet.
that.
what a great
You're
way to
sweet.
end
Yeah.
and what a great
Thank you.
message for our listeners.
Thank you
Thanks
very
so much,
much.
Scott.
Thank you.
Anytime. Anytime. Have a great night.
Thanks.
You too.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Parent Coaches Unleashed with Carrie and Jessica. Together, we can raise the next generation of independent, capable, and compassionate young adults.
We encourage you to send us an email with questions and feedback to info@parentcoachesunleashed.com. Please remember, you are not alone on this parenting journey.